fill in the blanks, even if they don't make sense to you. We're going to talk through all of these today. There's nothing new today. It's just learning how to go from one form to the other so that no matter how you see the equation of the function, you're comfortable working with it. Standard form is always the form we see when we're asked to factor. Vertex form is what we've been looking at when we're asked to graph. Both of these are a parabola. They're both that shape. Make sure when you're writing this, you write that negative b over 2a. All right, we're going to do this first one slowly. We're going to do step by step. And then each one that we do together will get easier. So our first example, y equals x squared minus 8x plus 9. That is in standard form. I'll let you write it down. So it's not like vertex form. If I have vertex form, I can tell you exactly where the vertex is. I can mess around with A to tell you where to go next. Standard form, if they give it to me like this, I can only tell you two things from looking at that equation. I can tell you the A. So A is 1, because A is still always right in front of that x squared. So I can still tell you the A. And the other thing is I can always tell you the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is always the C. So if C equals 9, that means that y-intercept, this parabola will cross the y-axis at 0, 9. And then B, so we identify A, B, and C, will be negative 8. So A is whatever is in front of the x squared, just a 1 there. B and C. So I was able to identify all three. This is my y-intercept. The other thing that we've learned with working with parabolas is, does it have a maximum value or does it have a minimum value? So is the vertex going to be at the top of this parabola, or will the vertex be at the bottom of this parabola? So I heard bottom, and that's exactly right. So this one will have a minimum value. Since A is positive, this parabola will face upward and will have a minimum value. So that vertex is minimum. All right, so here's our steps. 1, identify your A, B, and C. We already did step 1. Step 2, we're going to find, I'm going to write 3 things here. They're all the same. The axis of symmetry, and you guys know I abbreviate symmetry, so let me know. Also known as x equals, which is also our h. So the axis of symmetry, the x value, and the h value are all the same. All we're going to do is use this formula right here to figure out exactly what that is. So negative b over 2a. B is already negative 8, and the formula tells me to do the opposite of what b is. So when I do this now, I'm going to write positive 8 over 2 times a. A is just a 1, so this one's easy. So 8 divided by 2, 4. So x equals 4, h equals 4. That's step 2, not bad. And then step 3, we will have everything we need to write this in vertex form, and then we could graph it if we needed to. We are going to plug or substitute x in to find y or k. Same thing. I'll write h there too. So we know exactly what one of our x's are. So if I know what one of my x's is, I can put it into the function to get my output to figure out my y. So I'm just going to rewrite this. Y equals x squared minus 8x plus 9. I know somewhere on this parabola x equals 4. So what does y equal when x is 4? So let's plug it in and find out. 4 squared minus 8 times 4 plus 9. 16 minus 32 plus 9. Negative 16 plus 9. Negative 7. So now I have when x is 4, y is negative 7. So that is my vertex. Because that's my axis of symmetry. X equals 4. So that has to be where the vertex is. And the very last thing you have to do is write this in vertex form. And you now have everything you need to do that. We just figured all that out. Y equals A. A doesn't change. It was 1, so I don't have to write it. X minus 4 squared minus 7. So parts of that probably felt okay. Parts of that were like, whoa, don't worry, we're going to do this 4 times together. So I took standard form and I converted it to vertex form. Now it's really easy to graph. I know exactly where my vertex is. I know what my A is. I can graph it. Okay? Sorry, my son. All right. Let's do another example. Example number 2. So let's do a negative A. Negative x squared plus 6x plus 2. Alright, all I want us to do is convert this from standard to vertex. So step 1, identify your A, your B, and your C. A quiz question might say, does this parabola have a maximum or a minimum value? What is this one going to have? Max. Thank you, Trent. It will have a max because this parabola will face down. Hello. I put it all on your desk. And then you could also tell me that your y-intercept is at 2 because that's what C is. So you would say your y-intercept is at 0, 2. All right, step 2, negative b over 2a. I need to know that x value. So that would be negative 6 over 2 times negative 1. Negative 6 over negative 2. So x equals 3, also known as h. And then our final step, plug that in to find k. So once we know that, we're going to take it back to our original function. Y equals negative 3 squared plus 6 times 3 plus 2. Now pay attention. X is 3. If x had been negative 3, then I would have done negative 3 squared. But this told me to negate whatever x squared is. So if my x is on the outside, I'm going to keep it. Because negative 3 squared means I'm going to get a positive number, but I'm not going to here. I'm going to end up with 3 squared is 9, but that negative guy is still out there. Nine plus 2 equals 11. So now we know that our vertex would be at 3, 11. And the only thing we would have to do is write this in vertex form. So y equals, A was negative 1, so I'm going to put negative x minus 3, because that one is always the opposite, squared plus 11. So standard form to vertex form. just 1, 2, 3 steps and you're done. All right, on the last two that we do, we're gonna do the same process. We're gonna transfer from standard to vertex, but then we're just gonna graph it. That's why you have 2 graphs for today. Let's go ahead and turn your page. You can do your next sticker. We're gonna put it all together. All right, example 3. You got 6 minutes left and then you get a break. All right, I have standard form on my quiz. Ms. Clark asked me to identify the A, B, and C. That's what I'm going to do first. A, B, C. 2, -8, 6. Easy enough. Then I'm asked, will this have a maximum or a minimum value? What's it going to have? Minimum, because it's positive, so it will face upward. We don't know what it's going to look like yet, but we do know that it will look like this when it's done, so minimum value. And because of this guy, I can tell you my y-intercept is 0, 6. So when I graph it, that's where it should cross the y-axis. If it doesn't, I've done something wrong. All right, step 2. Find the axis of symmetry, the x value of the vertex, or the h, so -b over 2a. If you want to go ahead, you can. You don't have to wait for me. Eight. And then step 3 is plugging it in to get the y or k value for our vertex. So now we can jump over to our graph. The very first thing I'm asked to identify on the graph is the vertex. I know my x is 2, and when my x is 2, that y is -2. So I can go plot that point, 2, -2. Axis of symmetry is right there always, wherever our vertex is. That is my axis of symmetry. That is the equation, x equals 2, the equation of that line. And I need to finish graphing this, so I need to write it in vertex form so I can graph it before I can determine the rest of this. So writing it in vertex form, y equals, a is 2, x -2 squared minus 2. So if my a is 2, is my parabola going to stretch or is it going to compress out? If a is 2, is it going to get narrower or is it going to get wider? That's from last class. Do we remember? So if a is a whole number, it's going to get narrower. So we know this is going to get narrower. If it's a fraction, it's going to get wider. So our pattern we learned last time, 1, 3, 5, 7, when a equals 1, our a does not equal 1, our a equals 2, so it's now going to be 2, 6, 10, and I can finish graphing. I'm going to go up 2, over 1. And I'm going to go up 6. And now I can sketch it. And the last time we talked a lot about increasing, decreasing, and remember those are always in parentheses, never in hard brackets. We don't have a hard stop anywhere on this parabola. And when we're looking at where does it decrease and increase, we think about how we draw this. I start out by going down, so that's where I'm decreasing. Decreasing from negative infinity up to 2. And then I'm increasing from 2 to infinity. Domain is always the same, negative infinity to infinity, because there's arrows on the end. And my range is the only time we're really looking at the y value. This has a hard stop down here at -2. So my range is going to be from -2 to infinity. Both ends point up, so both of these answers are positive. All right, we went just a little over. That's okay. We have this last one. I'm going to have you do it on your own, and I'm going to write the answers up. So your last sticker, you can do this last one. You're golden. All right, this function, for example, 4 f of x equals, let's do negative x squared minus 8x minus 15. Convert to vertex form and then graph it. Let's see how you do. All right, check your answers and let me know if you have any questions on this one.